Today I get to have fun replacing the starter on a Toyota Tundra 2008 vintage. Safety third when working on stuff. First thing you want to do is remove the battery cable. After you remove the battery cable, come over to the other side of the engine and remove that little bolt down there that will release the dipstick tube. And to make the job a little easier, I'll be removing the tire and wheel assembly. Remember people, it's called a wheel, not a rim. Little shield there, ta-da! Next, I'm going to get in there and remove that shield right there, protecting the starter from massive amounts of heat. Okay, you can't see this bolt in the frame, but you can easily see it from my point of view. That bolt, that one, and there's one bolt towards the front that you can access here. Okay, with the exhaust manifold heat shield removed, that's not all the fun we get to have with heat shields. Now we can access this little heat shield which covers up the starter. There is a hidden bolt approximately right back behind this little piece that is holding on this heat shield. I'm able to use a gear wrench to come up behind there and get it. After a little bit of modifying of the shield and a little bit of bending and prying, it does come out from down below. Okay, continuing on with more fun with heat shields. There's a psychopath that works at Toyota that put this bolt in, I guess, backwards. So it's very difficult to remove. You have to come from the back side. And as you can see, I used my same handy 10mm gear wrench to get up in there and take care of that. So after you get the heat shields out, you're going to run into this little cover. Here you just get a little screwdriver in there, you pop it open like that, and I can't quite get in there to show you, but that is a nut that you will remove to remove the positive starter wire. Make sure your battery is disconnected before you touch this, or you will arc to ground. I'll be using a fancy 12mm gear wrench to remove that nut. Okay, so now you can see I have removed the main battery cable off of the starter, and now it's time to proceed with finding the starter bolts kind of down in there and get those out and get the starter out. Alright, so from underneath the truck you got two starter bolts that I can see right now. One of them is here and the other one is up a little bit higher right there. Now, sorry, yeah, right there. Now the problem with it being there is these transmission cooler lines are in the way thanks to the amazing engineering at Toyota. So I will need to find a different way to get to that because the pipes block the socket from being able to go on there. So in order to access the bolt, I'm going to remove this little bracket. You can see the 12mm socket is on the bolt. I'm going to remove that bolt and the pipes will be moved out of the way and I can get to that upper starter bolt. I'm just going to show you from this side using an extension to get down in there to get to that bolt. I was able to remove the bolt from the bracket, kind of pry it away a little bit and get my 14mm wobbly socket. You can kind of see it back behind the oil cooler piping. Alright, so I've wrestled the starter out from its spot. But it won't come out. There's not enough clearance for that. So I'm going to remove this bolt right up there at the top of the engine mount, and then I'm going to lift the engine a little to give it a little more clearance to get the starter out. Okay, so I have a 19mm wrench on the bolt. It's still very hard to get to, so I'm going to use the old grandpa trick here of taking a slightly larger wrench. I'm going to use a 22mm, and you hook it on there like that. And now I'll have plenty of leverage to break that bolt free. Kind of see how I did that. Okay, so now that that nut back there is removed, I can jack up the engine. I'm on a car hoist, and so I have one jack underneath the engine, but as always, safety third, I have another jack back on the tow hitch to support the back end of the vehicle. It is a truck after all, and long, and you don't need it falling off the rack and onto yourself. So if you are on a rack, I do recommend supporting it before lifting on the engine. All right, so now that that's lifted out of the way, we can focus on getting this starter out, which I have found can be done single-handedly. Ta-da! There we go! Let's go to the parts store. Alright, so back from O'Reilly's, and got the starter back in there. Now we just basically bolt everything up the way I pulled it apart. Okay, now that the starter's back in place and everything's ready to go, I guess it's just time to test it out. Let's see what happens. Alright. Hey, it works. Awesome. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and hope you learned something from this, my quick little videos.